the board and brand, cafeteria license, logo on the wall. Revenue share for the school's right hand, fast food identity installed in the hall. Lunch at 11, process tray arrives. This is where hunger gets its first instruction. This is where preference learns and survives inside an institution built for another function. The earliest meal shapes the longest habit. The school cafeteria is a grand channel. The contract was signed before the child arrived. The conditioning started at the first bell.
Normal.
The first meal said,
this is expected.
The first meal was the earliest classroom, and the lesson was loyalty to the brand.
The first meal.
Exclusivity clause, no competing products. Branded cups in the gymnasium. Sports sponsorship, health and conduct. Lessons funded by the same podium. The conflict of interest in plain sight. The nutrition curriculum undercut by the lunch tray served under midday light. The habit formed before the mind is set. Institutions shape the baseline. What a child eats at school becomes the adult's default state. The industry ran the numbers before the contract was written. The first meal was a message. The first meal was a contract. The first meal said,
this is normal.
The first meal said,
this is expected.
The first meal was the earliest classroom, and the lesson was loyalty to the brand.
The first meal.
They didn't need advertising in the home. They had the cafeteria. Mascot dancing at eye-level height. Engineered for children, precision locks. Psychographic target, behavioral bite. Saturday morning screen full of snacks. Character sing in the process name. Brand recognition before the facts. A decade of loyalty built in the game. School hallway, vending machine glow. Cafeteria corner with the logo seal. Every touch point a calculated show. Every contact a preference revealed. Not marketing at adults who can decide. The children wiring preference into place. The dependency built on the inside before the kid can see the industry's face. This isn't a campaign, this is engineering, this isn't advertising, this is targeting. Not at wallets, at nervous systems, not at choice, at formation. They targeted the youngest. They targeted the youngest. They knew the age and they chose it anyway. They targeted the youngest. They targeted the youngest. Before the mind could push the brand away, they targeted the youngest. Don't blame the parent for the strategy. Don't blame the child for the dependency. Name the system that designed the entry point and profited from every loyalty installed. They targeted the youngest. They targeted the youngest. They knew the age and they chose it anyway. They targeted the youngest. They targeted the youngest. Before the mind could push the brand away. They targeted the youngest. Bright colors, dark intent. Bright colors, dark. No market here. No market here. No market here. Five fast food corners on one block. Zero produce, zero grain. The nearest fresh market, 5 stops off on a bus line that runs in the rain. This isn't about distance, this is math. Low income, zip code, no ROI. Market decision carved a certain path where margins drop, the fresh goods die. Not a planning failure, a planning choice. Not an oversight, a calculated voice of capital that mapped the demographics and drained every nutrition, no traffic. No market here. No market here. No market here. It didn't grow that way. It was placed that way. No market here. Dollar menu, 3 blocks every direction. Cheap, calorie dense, engineered, available. The food desert isn't an omission, it's a gap in profit, ruled sustainable. Corner store stock with chips and drink, nothing green, nothing living on the shelf. Not because the neighborhood can't think, because the market drew the line itself. Call it access inequality, call it structural design. Capital mapped every zip code and made the decision street by street. No market here. No market here. No market here. It didn't grow that way. It was placed that way. No market here. No market. No market. No market by design. The bliss point calculated in the lab. Ratio, assault ratio, a sweet fat curve map to the pleasure graph. The mouth wants more before the meal's complete. Flavor formulation craving by design, not accidental, iteratively tested. Product finds a neural reward line and the stop signal gets suppressed. Hedonic override, technical term system built to surpass the body's cue. Satiety signal fails to confirm the product bypasses what hunger knew. This isn't weakness, this is engineering, this is science applied to appetite. The craving isn't moral, it's a clearance of a mechanism built to override. Don't name the person who can't stop. was designed. The hunger was designed. The hunger was designed. Every craving is a pattern. The hunger was designed. The hunger was designed. Every compulsion is a revenue stream. And the will you blame isn't weak. It was outgunned by the engineering. By the engineering. The addiction literature used the word. The industry fought the classification. The neuroscience made the case. The lobbying filed the appeal. The hunger was designed. The hunger was designed. The hunger was designed. Every craving is a pattern. The hunger was designed. The hunger was designed. Every compulsion is a revenue stream. And the one you blame isn't weak. It was outgunned by the engineering. Engineered to never stop. By the engineer. The gut is an ecosystem. 3 decades of ultra-processed food rewrote the map. Microbiome diversity measured and charted. Industrial diet tracked in the gut. Richness declining where the process started. Ecosystem running on a narrowing cut. Fiber stripped and processed in stage 1. Emulsifier breaks the mucus layer. Diversity index already undone before the longitudinal study clears the air. Not a theory, a measured outcome. Not speculation, a documented sum. The gut ecology was mapped, the damage was observed, the cost was not yet calculated. The bill is still in the mail. The ecosystem burns. The ecosystem burns. 3 decades in the count, return 0. The ecosystem burns. The ecosystem burns. And the long-term bill hasn't landed yet. Chronic inflammation, source undebated. Autoimmune signal pattern documented. Connection between gut and outcome stated. In 10-year studies quietly presented. Nobody changed the formula. Nobody pulled the products. The findings sat in journals. The shelves kept stacking. Short chain fatty acid production down. Barrier function weakened at the wall. Systemic signal spreading downstream unbound. The organs with no protocol at all. Intervention. Change the diet first. Intervention. Rebuild the terrain. But the terrain was dismantled at scale. And no one was required to name the change. The ecosystem burns. The ecosystem burns. 3 decades in the count, return 0. The ecosystem burns. The ecosystem burns. And the long-term bill hasn't landed yet. Protocol running damage. cash the tab. Round 1, sell the damage. Round 2, sell the cure. Round 3, lobby the standard. Round 4, repeat. Profit on the entry, profit on the exit. The loop was engineered before you took the first bite. Clinical intervention for the crisis design. Surgical option for the system cost weight. Insurance policy carefully aligned to cover treatment but not interrogate. Root cause analysis locked behind the door. Prevention unfunded, intervention priced. Nobody asked what the food was for. Nobody names the system that invoiced twice. This isn't conspiracy, this is structure. 2 industries with aligned incentive. 1 manufactures, 1 repairs. Both invoice, both collect, both continue. Round 1, sell the damage. Round 2, sell the cure. Round 3, lobby the standard. Round 4, repeat. Profit on the entry, profit on the exit. The loop was engineered before you took the first bite.
The sick body is a revenue stream. The sick body is a market segment. The sick body was never an accident. The sick body was the product.
Round 1, sell the damage. Round 2, sell the cure. Round 3, lobby the standard. Round 4, repeat. Profit on the entry, profit on the exit. The loop was engineered before you took the first bite.
2 industries, 1 disease, infinite invoices.
Walk the aisle, read the wall. 1,000 products, none of them food. Dye and coat and chemical haul. Industrial output dress for the neighborhood. Shelf stacked, high label, screens clean. Nothing living in the cardboard box. Engineered product, a factory sheen. Real food buried beneath the locks. They blur the line on purpose. They sold you the surface. Read the back, count the codes. Nothing natural down these roads. It's not food. It's not food. It's a product wearing food. It's not food. It's not food. Dressed in green. It's something crude. Not food. Not food. Preserved for a shelf life measured in years. Engineered texture, engineered taste. The cart fills up, the hunger clears, but the body runs on industrial waste. Extract the fiber, replace with starch. Strip the grain and sell back the brand. Profit built into every processing march. Dependency coded into every care. They called it progress. They called it modern. They called it science. We called it a factory product. So back has nutrition. It's not food. It's not food. It's a product wearing food.
future.
Invisible, invisible. Invisible, right there, in front of you.
They didn't change the food. They changed the research.
Decades of fat put in the crosshairs first. Studies funded, conclusions pre-written. Sugar step back, research dollars dispersed to labs that publish what the industry had chosen. The journals ran what the money approved. Headlines swallowed the industry line. Dietary guidance carefully grooved around whoever was writing the design. The research was purchased, the verdict was preset. A generation swallowed the lie. The correction never came. Follow the funding, follow the trail. Science for sale leaves no fingerprints.
It just disappears into the system. Into the system.
Conferences packed with sponsored chairs. Nutritionists hired to steer the course. Nobody pulled the industry shares when the evidence shifted at the source. 2 decades gone on the wrong track. Chronic disease climbed the chart. Nobody went to prison, nobody came back. The correction never reached the start. The research was purchased, the verdict was preset. A generation swallowed the lie. The correction never came. Follow the funding, follow the trail. Signs for sale leaves no fingerprints.
It just disappears into the system. This isn't anti-science. This is pro-accountability. The lab coat doesn't protect the lie. The credential doesn't bury the cash.
Reanalysis comes decades late. Papers questioning what the study said, but the damage already passed the gate. The correction doesn't feed the dead. Industry operation still runs clean. Lobby guidelines still on the shelf. Bot nutrition still on every screen. The machine protects the machine itself. The research was purchased. The verdict was preset. A generation swallowed the lie. The correction never came. Follow the funding, follow the trail. Signs for sale leave no fingerprints.
It just disappears into the system. They didn't need to silence the truth. They just funded a louder version of the lie. Profit.
system emission, third of the total. Land clear for cattle where the forest stood. Methane from the feedlot, carbon pulled from every canopy that fed the neighborhood. The calculation isn't conspiracy. The percentages in the published data. The gap between efficiency and practice is the industry's chosen strata. The reduction was on the table. The practices were identified. The cost was profit loss. The decision was made before the summit. Burn for profit. Burn for profit. Burn for profit. The forest falls, so the margin holds. Burn for profit. Hey. Burn for profit. The emission math was done. The emission cut was declined. Burn for profit. Carbon accounting for the plate. Supply chain map against the degree. Livestock sector at the highest rate. No cap, no binding, set free. Consumer has to count the footprint. Industry exempt from structural change. Individual action is the blueprint, while the corporate calculator stays the same. Redirect the responsibility. Personalize the systemic failure. Ask the individual to offset the load. The industrial model generates accountability. Never enter the building. Burn for profit. Burn. Burn for profit. Burn. Burn for profit. The forest falls, so the margin holds. Burn for profit. Burn. Burn for profit. The emission math was done. The emission cut was declined. Burn for profit. Profit burns. Profit burns. The system burns for profit. measured solo and declared clean. 30 compounds in a single bite, and yet no one calculates the whole machine. Strawberry washed and tested right, spinach checked, apple passed. Each food clears the regulatory light, the accumulation never asked. Morning fruit, afternoon grain, evening protein, night process blend. Stack the exposures through the chain.
is a regulatory gap. This is not paranoia. This is the unasked question, shaped exactly like profit. Legal says clean, the body says otherwise.